Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I hope you're having a fantastic day. A couple of weeks ago now, I shared a video of myself creating a floral arrangement for one of my weekly deliveries. And that was just kind of a test video to see how you guys felt about a floral design series here on my channel. If you are newer around here, I have been a florist for a very long time now. I started back in 2009. I actually had my own floral design company for well over a decade, and I ran that mostly myself. I definitely had help for larger events, but especially all of the behind the scenes stuff, that all fell on me. So the taxes, the purchasing, the, inventory, the pre-ordering of florals for events, all of that behind the scenes stuff was just me. And after well over a decade of essentially doing everything myself, I decided that I no longer wanted to own my own floral design business. I definitely, I think, also just kind of needed a break from the industry for a little bit. I was doing a lot of weddings at the time. That was mostly what I specialized in, was wedding orders. And I was really good at it, and I got a lot of business, but it was just really overwhelming. And as much fun as I had creating the orders, it got to a point where everything just felt crushing, and I just stopped loving designing flowers. And I feel like when you get to that place where you just really kind of resent your job, you need a change. So I decided to go ahead and shut my company down, and I did something else for a year or two there, and made some money that way. It wasn't something I was passionate about, but it was fine for the time being. And then one of my girlfriends, who actually also owns a very successful floral design company, was asking me if I would consider coming to work for her. Her company was growing. She was super busy. She needed more help, and we've been friends for a very, very long time. She actually made my bridal bouquet for me back in the day. That was kind of how we first came to be friends. And yeah, I was like, I think I can do this. I really like floral design, but I just don't want to run my own company. So it was kind of the perfect fit. Anyway, now that I'm back to loving what I'm doing, because I'm just a little worker bee now. I have nothing to do with any of the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, I go to the market and, I purchase flowers for our different events and stuff for my boss's company, but like, I don't have to put in pre-orders. I don't have to keep in contact with clients. I don't have to manage anything day of. I just make it pretty and I go home, and it's fantastic. I love it. I love my work situation now. I definitely make less than what I made owning my own company, but I'm so much happier, and I will make do with less to be a little bit more content with my work situation. So anyway, I am gonna start sharing some floral design videos here on my channel, and that first video was just to get a sense of what you guys really wanted the content to look like. And it sounded like the vast majority of people would rather have some type of voiceover situation, or me kind of explaining what I'm doing in the video as I'm doing it, versus just having background music playing, which is relaxing and fine. And every once in a while I might just do one of those videos, but I do think it would probably be helpful to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And today's video is actually it should have been the first video that I put up, which is, talking about the supplies and things that are good to have if you plan on designing your own arrangements at home. And the first thing that I want to say, because I know there's going to be people in the comments who say this phrase, but oh, I could never do that. I don't have, an artistic eye. I don't have an eye for detail. I'm not good at making things pretty. And the first thing I want to say is, nope. None of that is, none of that is happening here. Listen, they're flowers, they're beautiful. And yes, you might need to try it a few times to become comfortable with the process. But listen, I'm not even gonna be talking about design principles here because really flowers they're natural, right? So they're not perfect. And while there are definite design principles that should probably be adhered to, my biggest thing is just design something that you love. It might not be, you know, the proper proportions necessarily, but those are things that you really kind of get good at the more that you do it. When it comes to floral design, the more that you do it, the better you're gonna get at it. So just start practicing. Go pick flowers on the side of the road. Go pick them in a field, or go to your local grocery store, or order them online. However you get your flowers, whatever flowers you want to design with, just go get them and start doing some stuff. Listen, it's just like when it comes to makeup, sometimes it can take a while to get good at it, right? Or to know what works for you. But the more that you do it, the better you get at it. Practice makes, I don't want to say perfect because it doesn't even have to be perfect, but it just is going to make you more appreciative of the end result. The more that you do this and the more you express your creativity, I think everybody has creativity inside of them. I know that for me, my floral design is an artistic outlet. I'm one of those artsy people. So for me, I feel like I need that in my life. You know, sometimes I will express myself via my makeup. Sometimes I'll do it via flowers. Sometimes I'll do it by, you know, decorating my home. Sometimes I'll do it with more traditional art, like painting, watercolors, drawing, things like that. For me, I'm one of those like really like artistic, expressive people, and I need an outlet for that. So flowers are perfect for that. And I really don't think that there is a more forgiving medium than flowers, to be perfectly honest. I'm telling you, just start playing around. The more that you do it, the more comfortable you're gonna get with it. So no, I can't do that. We're not gonna allow that here. You can do it. Just give it a chance. Start playing around. It doesn't have to be perfect. Ignore the design principles. I'm telling you, you can make things that are beautiful. But before we even get to that point, let's talk about some must-have supplies that I think are a great starting point. You don't need all of these things, but if you are serious about, sorry, my hair's driving me nuts. Everything's driving me nuts today. This eyeball won't stop watering. My hair just won't do anything. It's one of those days. But yeah, these are just some good things to have on hand if you are looking to design flowers for yourself. Maybe you want to make yourself a weekly arrangement and that's your treat to yourself, or maybe you have a lot of special occasions and you want to give a gift that's really personal. I don't think there's a more beautiful gift than a hand-tied bouquet that you put together. You don't need to go to a florist shop to have that done for you. You don't need to pop into Safeway or Fred Meyer to pick up a generic bouquet. You can do it. I'm telling you. Just give it a chance. Use some of these supplies that we're gonna dig into here in a second, and you can make it happen. So, I'll go ahead and list and link the things that I am saying are kind of things that are good to have when you're first starting out. I'll link all of that stuff in the description box. I'll try to make it easy to find it. Most of these things I think you can find on Amazon, so I'll probably end up linking them there. But you can obviously also go through a lot of different vendors to get this stuff, but Amazon is typically gonna be the cheapest. I buy all of this stuff actually in bulk at the flower market. So, you know, I don't buy my flower food in little, you know, little glass containers. I buy it by the vat, essentially. And sometimes we even get the bigger containers than this. So, but anyway, without further ado, let's dig into the basics that are good to have if you are looking to get started with some basic floral design. So let's get into it. I went ahead and wrote everything down on a list so that I wouldn't forget. So pardon me as I periodically reference this list here, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. Again, I will actually list and link everything in the description box down below, so you don't have to write this stuff down. You can just reference that description box. But first thing I am going to suggest is a really good quality pair of shears or a knife, depending on which you're most comfortable designing with. My favorite brand for the actual supplies, like clippers, knives, shears, all of that kind of stuff, is the Oasis brand. Now, the number one thing that I will tell you is you need to make sure that your shears or knife, whatever it is that you're using, that it's actually really sharp. You never want to crush your stems. Now, there are certain stems that you will actually want to crush. So for example, if you are designing with a woody stem, like lilac. Lilac is a good example. Oftentimes the bottom of your lilac stems will definitely have, you know, wood, because it's a tree, a bush essentially. So the way to get the lilac to drink properly is to actually crush the end of the stem with a hammer. And I don't mean, you don't have to like beat it into an oblivion. You just kind of want to crush the end a little bit so that the wood splits and the lilac, the flowers at the top, can draw the water up a little bit more efficiently. So a little hammer might also be nice to have, but for the most part, you are going to be cutting flowers. So make sure that your shears are really, really sharp. These ones here are these are all from the Oasis brand. I like to use ones like this when I'm cutting stems that are a little bit bigger, like hydrangea stems. This just works really well for those. These are my favorite multi-purpose shears, and I do periodically sharpen these, and I will also wash them just with a little bit of Dawn every now and then to make sure that they are clean. I can tell you that the knife is still fine, but these two are gonna need to be replaced here in a couple of months. I go through these probably a lot faster than you will, but I do this for work, so I'm using these many days out of the week here. But yeah, you just need to make sure that your shears remain sharp, that they do not crush the stems, and that you periodically disinfect these. So, and you can just literally do that with some Dawn dish soap and some warm water, and then make sure you dry them right away so that they don't get rusty, obviously. Also, if you get comfortable with it, you can design with a knife. These are very popular with a lot of florists. I was taught initially to cut my stems with a knife, but I just never got comfortable with it. So I am a shears girl. But for example, my boss and my coworker Amy, they only design with a knife. For me, this didn't come naturally to me, and while I know how to use it, I don't love it. So anyway, you can definitely look up some techniques on how to cut with a knife like this. It can be faster in some cases, I will admit, than the shears, but I don't know. I'm not always looking to design with speed, so these work for me. So shears, very important to have, or a knife. Make sure they're sharp, make sure they're clean. Okay, next. Vases. You're gonna wanna have some vessels, and you can literally use anything. You can make a floral arrangement in a coffee cup. You can make a floral arrangement in a big, beautiful, grand vase. One of the clients whose weekly flowers I do, they have a vase that they have on top of their really beautiful stone mantle. This is a very, very expensive vase. Every time that I have to lift it up onto the mantle, I say a little prayer that I do not drop this vase because it's very expensive. So you can have anything in between, a coffee cup or a $5,000 vase, whatever floats your boat, but you need a vessel of some kind, right? I really actually prefer designing in opaque vessels, so where I can't see inside at all. That's my personal preference, but that is because of the way that I like to design flowers, which is for a lot of my lower arrangements, I really prefer using Oasis floral foam. Next, I want to talk about Floral Oasis and chicken wire. I'm not going to talk about floral frogs because I feel like those are a little bit more advanced, but a lot of times when you have received floral arrangements in the past, especially if it's been like a lower profile design, not like, you know, like a trumpet vase or something like that, a lot of times they will have probably used some chicken wire or maybe even some tape across the top, or most florists use Floral Oasis to design with. I really prefer Floral Oasis, even though this is probably not the safest product on the planet. You really don't want to breathe in this dust. You really do not want to get this dust into your eyes. Doesn't feel good, I can tell you that. It's happened to me a couple of times. But this is fantastic for designing with, because once you stick a stem in here, this will hold it in place indefinitely. Well, for the life of the arrangement, obviously. There's only 2 rules when it comes to Floral Oasis, and that is that you never ever push this down when you are wetting it. What you're going to do is you're either going to fill a bucket or a sink with water. You're going to put a little bit of bleach, like a tablespoon of bleach, in with that water. That's going to help to keep bacteria at bay, which is important. Not too much bleach, like a tablespoon max, and in a big old vat of water, right? So don't overdo it. And then you're going to place this into the water, and you're just going to let it naturally sink. Never ever push the Floral Oasis down. What you're going to do is you're going to create air bubbles. So you're going to have dry pockets deep inside of the Oasis, and if your stem hits one of those dry pockets, guess what? Your flower is going to die, and it's going to die very quickly because there is no water source. The point of this is that it is a constant water source for your stems. I always add a little bit of extra water into the container as well, and then the Floral Oasis continues to drink that water up and continues to water your flowers. So the second hard and fast rule is that this is not a parking garage, guys. There are no in and out privileges. When you decide that you want to stick a stem into the Floral Oasis, you better be sure that that's where you want that stem to be. Because if you take it out, you are then left with a big old hole, and you don't want that, because it just, if you're gonna create a bunch of extra holes here, you're going to eventually affect the overall stability of the foam. You can't be going in and out a bunch of times. Make sure you are intentional with your insertion here and leave it. Just be intentional, know where you want it, put it in, walk away. Pick up a different flower, pop it in there, and keep going. Again, there are no in and out privileges. You go in, you leave it, move on. So those are the only rules that I really have for Floral Oasis, other than keeping it out of your lungs and your eyeballs. So I prefer the black because this actually gets lost in arrangements way better than the green does. Also, make sure that you're actually buying this type of foam and not the hard green foam. That's for silk flowers, so that's never going to absorb water. Don't buy that. You can certainly buy it in the green. I don't know how readily available the black Oasis is. I buy all this stuff at the flower market, so it's readily available for me there, but I don't know if just on the regular market, if Floral Oasis in black is like a super popular thing. But I'm telling you, it gets lost in arrangements way more effectively than the green does. Another thing that you can buy to cover the top of your Floral Oasis, and you probably saw me do this in that arranging video. If you missed it, I'll link it down below. But you can buy this Spanish moss, and you can just kind of put that over the top, And then you've got obviously holes that your stems will go through here because it's just moss. But it adds a little bit of texture again and helps to disguise that Floral Oasis a little bit more. It helps to fill that negative space. So Spanish moss also good to have on hand. And listen, if you don't want to use Floral Oasis, use chicken wire. You basically just crumple it up into a ball, stick it into your container, fill that container with water and the right amount of floral food, and then you can stick your stems through that. I don't love chicken wire myself because once again, you're gonna have to cover up the mechanics. No big deal there. But I do think that just the floral foam it's a little bit easier to design with, and I think maybe once you get more comfortable, maybe chicken wire can be a thing that you move on to. You can also just tape the top of your vases. I would definitely recommend using the special like clear floral tape and not Scotch tape. But yeah, I don't ever bother with that. I just prefer to use the Oasis. It's just a personal preference thing. But yeah, that is good to use. Also, to go with your Oasis, let me find it. You'll need a knife to carve your Oasis. This is Gladys. She has been with me since 2009. She is rusty as all get out. But she carves Floral Oasis like nobody's business. I always like cutting my Oasis after I soak it, but you can certainly cut the pieces prior to soaking them, whatever floats your boat when it comes to that. But it's nice to have just an extra rusty knife on hand for this kind of stuff because you don't want to ruin a good kitchen knife just carving up Floral Oasis. So there's that. All right, next. And this is one where you can kind of DIY it. Flower food. I do think it's important. I think if you expect your arrangements to last more than just a few days, you should think about using floral food. I have a favorite brand when it comes to all of my chemicals that I like to use, and it is the Floralife brand. So I love their HydroFlor. This is just a good generic hydrator for flowers. It really does a good job of keeping the water clean longer, helps to kind of kill off that bacteria. It really does help keep your flowers hydrated better. So I would definitely recommend that. You can make your own using water, sugar, vinegar, and some lemon juice. You can look up the proportions on that. I've tried that type of flower food. I don't think it's as good as the actual chemicals, but I completely understand if you would like to lessen the amount of chemicals that you're using. Make your own, see how it goes. There's a few different recipes. I mean, this, you know, the water, sugar, vinegar, and lemon juice is just one recipe that's out there for floral food. I feel like I have the black Oasis all over me. It'll probably be all over my face when I'm done here in this video, but yeah, so flower food is really, really important. Also, this is something that I think a lot of people fail to do, but if you can, especially if you have an arrangement where you're not using chicken wire or the Floral Oasis, change the water in your arrangement every couple days and then re-up on the floral food. And as you are changing the water, also give your stems a quick clip at the bottom. You can literally just take the arrangement out, bunch it like this, cut the stems at the bottom, change out the water, stick it back in. You're gonna extend the life of that arrangement significantly if you do that. It makes a big difference. I'm a big believer in that habit, and then also the flower food. It's very important. Follow the directions on the back, depending on the size of your container. Bleach, this is just a must-have when it comes to using the floral foam. Add about a tablespoon in with just a big vat of water. It's gonna help to kill the bacteria that can build up especially when you're using Floral Oasis, but bacteria can build up just in water in general. So yeah, get a little bit of bleach it definitely keeps that the flowers that you put into the Oasis living a little bit longer. Okay, this one is, I don't think this is a must-have, but I really believe in it, so I'm gonna go ahead and mention it, and that is something called Quick Dip. But if you are looking for an inexpensive alternative that you can actually get at the grocery store, you can just buy alum powder. Now, when you are using a lot of woody stems, so hydrangea, the lilac, stuff like that, it really is helpful to, when you make that first cut, to process your flowers. And we'll talk about processing flowers in another video. But what you want to do is make that initial cut when you first get your hydrangea. You're going to either put it in the Quick Dip that you just pour in a little container. So you just hold it in there for a couple seconds and then you plop it into water. Or if you're using the alum powder, which is, I believe, a pickling spice, you can just have that alum powder and you dip the bottom of your stem in that. And then you place that in your water source to properly hydrate. It really makes a big difference, especially when it comes to hydrangea. Hydrangeas are very, very thirsty plants, and there is nothing better that I've ever found than Quick Dip. We don't actually use it at our design studio because my boss is a little bit more ambivalent about it. But when I had my own design studio, I definitely made that a priority. Every single stem that I cut when I was processing my flowers, they all got Quick Dipped before they went into water. My flowers lasted so much longer. They looked so much healthier. The blooms were just bigger, more vibrant. It just made such a big difference. So I would say if you are arranging to have your arrangements last longer and to be more impactful, I think either getting that alum, which is basically just an astringent, or the Quick Dip to be able to dip the bottom of your blooms in before putting them in water. It's a good habit to get into, and try it. I'm telling you, I think it makes a really, really big difference. Okay, we only have a couple more things, and these are all just, again, chemical type supplies. I don't have this next item with me here, but it is leaf shine. Anytime that you are working with greenery, especially hardier leaves like, say, magnolia or salal. Salal's kind of a big one because those leaves they just look kind of dull sometimes. What you can do is use that leaf shine, and it kind of makes the leaves just look shiny and new again. It makes them look nicer. So I would say if you are designing an arrangement for a friend, or for example, when we do weddings, you know, or when we have really big events and we really need the foliage to pop, we always use that leaf shine to bring out that shine, to bring out the color. It really does make a big difference. It's not a necessity, and if there's anything that you can cut from this list, it's the leaf shine. But the last item that I want to mention is a non-negotiable for me, and I recently finally talked my boss into going back to using this, but it is the crowning glory or finishing touch. This is another spray. It usually comes in a bottle like this, and then I just decant it into a spray bottle. Here's the spray bottle that I decanted my Crowning Glory into. Actually, I think Crowning Glory is what I used to buy, but my boss, she also really likes Floral Life, so we're using the Floral Life finishing spray right now, so that's what's in here, but this still says Crowning Glory. But yeah, you just want a nice mister, and when you are completely done with your arrangements, the very last thing that you're gonna do is just spray all of your blooms, spray all of the greenery, a nice healthy spray where everything is covered. It doesn't need to be dripping, but you definitely need to make sure that you are covering all of the blooms, all of the greens. This is essentially going to continue to hydrate your flowers, but from the actual blooms. So it's magical. I think it makes arrangements last so much longer. It makes arrangements that we have to take out into the heat. For example, if we are doing a wedding outside in August, which we've done a couple of those this month already. We have another one next weekend. We always bring several containers of the finishing spray, and we literally hose everything down before the event starts so that the flowers continue to hydrate even when it's like 80, 90, 100 degrees out. It does keep the flowers looking a lot less weepy and wilty than if we didn't use the finishing spray. So it's not an absolute necessity, but I'm telling you, I really believe that it extends the life of the flowers, and especially if you are designing flowers to be used outside during the height of the summer heat, it just does a really good job of keeping everything hydrated, because when it's 90 degrees out, it will suck the moisture out of everything. I'm telling you, get some crowning glory or mist some water. I mean, at the very least, definitely mist a little bit of water over your arrangement. One big thing is if you are going to be putting your arrangement back into a refrigerator or a cooler until you're ready to gift it, or, you know, like if you want to save it for a later date in the week or something, make sure you let this completely dry on all of the blooms before you put it in the refrigerator, because it will cause your flowers to wilt a little bit if this is still wet when the blooms go into the fridge. So there's just a couple rules. As long as you follow them, it's totally fine. But man, I love me some finishing spray. I think it makes a really big difference. And for me, I think those are the bare minimum things to have on hand, with the exception of a couple things being a little bit more like, if you want this thing, it's really nice to have on hand, but it's maybe not a must-have. But I would say the vast majority are things that you should probably have on hand in order to be as successful as possible. These are things that you're going to see me using in all of these design videos that I do. So if you want to follow along, these are the things that I would definitely recommend having. So anyway, that's everything that I have for you in this video. Please let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any preference on how I edit the videos. Check out the first one that I did if you missed it, and let me know how you feel about that style. So far, I think most people are leaning towards the more instructional style video versus the more ASMR relaxing style videos. Maybe I'll just do one of those every once in a while, and for the most part, I will talk you through what I'm doing. I will never stress design principles because, again, I think flowers are just beautiful no matter what you do with them. So I don't oftentimes pay attention to those rules. I just kind of do whatever, I don't know, pops into my head, and a lot of times it just happens to work out. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of show you my thought process around it, and hopefully it's helpful to you and helps you build your confidence a little bit, because when I started this, I had no idea what I was doing. I have a degree in social work. I was a social worker. So yeah, big leap to being a florist, but I'm definitely a lot happier now. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any suggestions for video ideas. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.